Koen from Aztec network. Today we have a workshop about validation of Aztec network. Koen will tell much more about Aztec network. In 2 words, it's the privacy first layer 2 for the Ethereum, and not only for the Ethereum. In the future, I think it will be the even blockchain agnostic privacy solution for the many networks. And Koen, thank you very much for hosting for moderating this workshop. Friends, let's start.
My main goal is to help you guys set up a validator on the Aztec testnet. So I'll tell a little bit more about what Aztec itself is, right? We are a basically kind of TLDR, a privacy rollup on top of Ethereum. We're very hardcore on building on top of Ethereum. That's kind of the main place that we build. We're building everything, but a lot of what we're trying to do is allow people to create private transactions while still having kind of the trust assumptions that you would have from a big network like Ethereum. A lot of this is kind of a lot of the developments that Aztec has worked on over the last since 2017 when the company was founded. Is allowing or is developing like ZK protocols to allow anyone to create private transactions, but also have part of those transactions be public data, so those can be seen. So it's kind of this mix of private and public data that is all validated with ZK proofs. So yeah, a lot of this is to allow programmable privacy. So Aztec has a VM, so kind of like the EVM, we have the AVM that's being built by the engineers at Aztec Labs to allow anyone to kind of programmably deploy DeFi protocols and all that stuff on top of Aztec and have the full programmable privacy they would want out of those protocols. So think of stuff like financial identity, gaming, but also a whole host of other things. We're currently in the testnet phase, and we're targeting a mainnet sometime later this year. I've kind of been saying early Q4. So that's kind of the roadmap wise what we're looking at. So over the next few months, we'll be actively trying to test the networks to its limits. Currently, the testnet that we have, we call the adversarial testnet. The reason for that is that it's fully in the hands of the validators currently. We have no manual control over anything. We can propose governance upgrades, but validators are the ones that have to actually execute those. So there's a level of kind of assumptions that the validators will be involved and help us kind of test this protocol towards mainnet. We're actively trying to onboard as many validators as we can. We got slashing working only a few days ago. So we're trying to get as many validators that are actually running their nodes correctly on, which is where I think this group of people is a great group to start off with and get them to run a validator and see where you guys can help out on that case. So yeah, a little bit about what I'm gonna kind of help you guys through today. So I'm gonna help you guys set up the Aztec client, either using a very simple script that we call Aztec up, or using a Docker Compose file, whichever you prefer. I have an example for both. And then next step is helping you guys register as a validator. We have a really cool kind of self-service flow using ZK Passport, which is a project that we have worked really closely with, and a lot of people are currently using for verifying humanity. So basically, what you do is you have an app on your phone that you can scan your passport with, like the chip that's in the passport. It then generates a ZK proof. That ZK proof only validates that you are a human, that you have a passport. It doesn't actually give us any information. It just is a kind of way for us to verify that you have a passport and that it's unique to a list of kind of proofs that we retain. Outside of that, once you've run through that flow, you can go on to testnet.aztec.network, use ZK Passport, and connect your wallet. I'm going to help you guys through all of that today. And then from there, you can join the queue. Once you're through the queue and you're in the active set, you'll be proposing blocks, and hopefully you won't get slashed, right? So two things that are slashable offenses are being offline for a long period of time, or proposing invalid blocks. So yeah, the proposing invalid blocks shouldn't happen as long as you're running our client. And then being offline, I think it speaks for itself. So just kind of having a level of reliability on the on like having Node operate. Cool. So I think we'll just dive straight in. I kind of want to actually, before we do this, quickly to the screen share, I want to quickly get a grasp, an idea of like what your guys' level of validator operations are. That will kind of help me determine if I'll go for more of the simple setup or more for the advanced setup. I think we'll end up with a simple setup, but I kind of want to ask who here has like run an Ethereum validator, for example. So if you guys want to, I don't know, write in the chat, or is it like a hands up thing?
Hey, GM Koen, this is Viju from Block Hunters. So I'm not actually the dev, I'm one of the co-founders. So I do BD, content, a lot of stuff, and Vladi invited me to the workshop. Yeah, we run validators all around, so Ethereum, Cosmos, Substrat networks. So I don't think that's an issue running the validator with us. The only question I have, is it permissionless? Anyone can join?
Yeah, on the testnet, it's fully permissionless, and even on the mainnet, it's going to be fully permissionless. But there's a staking component involved, of course. So anyone can join at this point.
Okay, and where can you find the documentation? Is on the website? Is it public or? Okay.
It's fully public.
Also, in the announcement of this workshop, the link on the documentation, and I will send it one more time to the chat of Validator School. You will be there, all the important links. Also, the link on the Twitter of Koen.
Yeah, I got the link. Thank you very much, Koen.
No worries. Cool. So yeah, this, the link I just sent is like the exact documentation for how to run a validator/sequencer. We use those words intertwined. So if you hear one, hear the other. So I think there's a level of like people have run a bunch of validators here, right? That's kind of the whole point. I think we'll still try to kind of walk you guys through the Aztec up flow. It will actually be one of my first times fully running through that flow myself. I actually have just only run the more advanced flow. But I'll happily give you guys the Docker compose file example that I have afterwards. So you can also use that. There we go. Let's run through this Aztec upflow. So if you guys want to open the docs that I just sent, it actually lists the command that I mentioned earlier at the top. So basically, what we're going to do now is you can do it on your laptop for now, but like ideally, you would have either like a home computer that's always on, that's always connected to the network. Or some kind of virtual server that you're using somewhere in the cloud to kind of install this on to retain high uptime. So normally you wouldn't do this on your laptop. I'm just going to show you guys how this would work on a laptop. Or like this would probably work the same anywhere else. But I'm just going to run this this command here. Make it bigger, sure. So I use a terminal called Warp. Feel free to use whatever terminal you prefer. I'm going to make it a bit bigger. So I'm going to run this command. It's going to ask me some questions about what I want to install. I'll say yes. Let's see. There we go. That was pretty simple. So I've just basically what it's just done is it downloaded the script. That script ran me through some questions. It downloaded a Docker image. It installed some binaries locally and made them available in my path, so that I can easily access them. So according to the documentation, right, there's a next step here, which is run Aztec upv latest, which basically just downloads the latest version of what we're currently running. Okay, there we go. That was pretty simple. From here on out, it should be as simple as kind of running this node, this command here. There's one caveat to that. There's a few environment variables that we need to set. So we have a Ethereum host, so we need to have kind of a few requirements for getting the Aztec validator running. It's because we're an L2 on Ethereum. We need to have access to both a Ethereum execution node, but also a Ethereum consensus layer node. both of those are required to run an Ethereum node in the first place. So if you're running an Ethereum node, you should have those. If you don't, there are services like DRPC and QuickNode that you could use to run them. Our preference is, of course, if you'd run a node yourself, but kind of depends on if you already have one or not. So you could also use one of the kind of paid providers to get the RPC that you would need. So that's what these two are. So an Ethereum host is for execution layer, and L1 consensus is for the consensus client. We'll run through that when we get to the command here. We need to have a validator private key, which is just simply a private key. I'm just going to generate a new one here and show you guys how to quickly do it, and I'll post a command in chat so you can follow along. But yeah, the simplest way to do this is with Cast. That's a tool integrated in Foundry. I'll show you how to quickly do it. It's pretty simple. After that, there's a let's see. A Coinbase. Coinbase is basically just a public address that you will receive your rewards on, and then a P2P IP, which is just like your public IP, just so that you will like when you're peering to other peers, it knows where to peer back to. So that's what that is. So yeah, let's set all these up, right? So I actually have a Ethereum client that I'm running locally, so I'm gonna call that. I'm going to generate a new validator key, and I'm going to set the public address of that to the Coinbase, and then the P2P IP. I'm just going to use a non-value now because I'm going to run it locally, and I can't have anyone peer back to me from where I'm at now. But otherwise, if you have a virtual machine or if you have a home computer that you're running from, just make sure that you're running that you have a static IP address. You can get that through IPFI pretty easily, and that you're doing the port forwarding correctly. I'll leave that out of scope for now because that's a little bit more advanced. Kind of assuming you're using a VPS, just set the public IP to set the public IP in this. So let me quickly generate a private key. I'm actually going to quickly turn off my screen sharing because I don't want to share a private key that I already have. I'll turn it back on in a second when I have the commands ready. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So I'm using this cast command. So cast wallet new mnemonic words 24. What that does is it generates a new mnemonic for you, but also shows you the private key and shows you the public key as well. So when I do that, I mean, this wallet won't have anything. It's just like I'm just showing you guys what it would look like. You will have a new mnemonic that you can go ahead and store somewhere safe. So wherever you want to retain these keys, you have a public address and a private key, right? So we're interested here in the public address and in the private key. So I'm going to copy the private key. I'm actually going to copy this command. There we go. I'm going to say we're on alpha testnet. The Ethereum host that I have, I'm just going to copy from this here. I don't have it in here. That's funny. Oh, here we go. There we go. And consensus. There we go. The validator private key. The Coinbase. And this one, I'm just going to set to 0. When we start running this, oh, I need to add an S. There we go. It's going to download some requirements. It is then downloading a snapshot from a server to make sure that we're on the latest state automatically. Might take a second. So yeah, we're on block 14,000 on the roll up. So this is going to take a little second while it downloads that. hopefully. Okay. I'll let that download and then come back to you guys. So yeah, this is basically, we'll just quickly wait while this is downloading. This is basically like the really simple setup for how to run it. This is not necessarily a setup that would be very highly available. But what's kind of cool about this is you can run this anywhere, right? You can run this on a pretty low-end machine. There's no, like the requirements are very low. This is a few gigabytes of RAM and like a very low amount of CPU. So yeah, oh yeah, it's actually finished. So I'll just quickly show it. So as you can see, it finished downloading this. It does some state adjustments and starting to kind of sync again. At some point, you will see a log that will say starting validator, starting sequencer. It's not there yet, but at some point it will start. It will mention that it's starting the sequencer or starting the validator with the actual public address that's specified with this private address. So when that's running, when you see that, you're basically ready to kind of start to join the set. Yeah, this will kind of take a second to sync and properly get all the information that it needs. Yeah, there we go. It's actually downloading blocks now. Cool. I do see some questions in the chat, so I'll quickly go over those while that's going. Okay, Rugged Clown said, will there be a limit to the validator max number, or is there a minimum stake threshold? So are you talking about the entire chain, or just the amount of validators you can run with one node? I guess I'll assume that it's that on the node itself. It kind of works very similar to Ethereum. So if you're running a validator on Ethereum, you can run one node and have it operate like 30 validators. That's kind of the same on Aztec. So you can run just this one node that we just set up with many different validators that with many different kind of private keys attached to it. So you would just comma separate them, and it would do attestations and block signing for all of them. And it doesn't even add any. It doesn't really even add any resource requirements. So the resource requirements for running 30 validators is basically the same as for running one. Outside of that, you also asked, is it based on the minimum stake threshold? There is a minimum stake threshold that we set in the code, but that's kind of goes into the actual economics of the mainnet. We haven't fully finalized those yet. So expect to hear more about those at some point in the future. I would suggest joining our Discord. So I'm just going to quickly make sure that you guys are all there. So because I want to make sure that you guys get the right role. What's this? Yes. So if you guys want to join our Discord, and then feel free to leave your Discord usernames in the chat, and I'll go ahead and add you guys to the correct role. Just want to make sure that we're still downloading blocks. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so basically what we've now done is we've set up a validator. It's not very highly available. There's many things that you could do that. You can make a systemd service. You can make you could also run this in Docker yourself. You could just run it in a tmux session, whatever works best for you guys. I'm just going to quickly show my screen here again because it has updated a bit. So we can now see that it did a whole bunch of downloading and updating of the state, added some bootstrap nodes, and said starting validator, starting validator with address. And then this is the public address that we saw earlier, right? It's the same as this Coinbase address. Yeah. Basically, we're now running as a validator. Every once in a while, it will do what's called a proposer check. It will check if it can propose a block. If it can't, then it will just skip to the next slots to check if it can propose a block. Yeah, so this is basically all you need to do to run a validator. I think next we can kind of quickly jump into next steps. I think the speed of how fast I was able to show you guys is goes to show how much effort we put into making this as easy as possible. I'll show this really quickly. Right. So we have this system called ZK Passport. So I'm going to show you guys how to add yourself to the queue. I can't fully show it, but I'm at least going to show you guys where to go to do so. So we have this website called testnet.aztec.network. You can go to this. When you're on this, you click. You can view more information about what it's like to run a validator, and like what kind of the expected things are. Also read more about ZK Passport, but kind of really what we want to do is join the validator set. We can fill in some information here. So I'm going to fill in, I don't know, I'm Dutch myself, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to use like a recent date. What is it today? I'll just use 10th of July, 2025. There we go. That should work. It'll tell me that it's likely supported. We can continue. It will then ask me to connect a wallet. You can just do this with MetaMask or whatever other thing you have. So you would have to import your mnemonic or your private key into MetaMask. You would then connect a wallet here. You would then use ZK Passport, where it kind of tells you need to download the ZK Passport app, scan your password into the app. It will then store it in the app and all the information. And then you can scan a QR code on this page with that app. You then generate the ZK proof locally on your phone, just to kind of validate your humanity. It will then upload that to this website. If it all checks out, you can click register. You have to have some Sepolia ETH, with which if you guys send me your addresses, I'll happily send you some. You can also use the faucet, whatever works. After that, after you've registered, your validator will be in the queue. So you'll have to wait until the queue runs out. Currently, the queue is quite long, but I can already hint that we're working on a governance upgrade to make the queue go a lot faster. That'll be coming soon. After you've done that, you can actually claim a Discord role. It's called the Explorer role, but if you guys can't run through this or don't want to, I'll happily give it to you guys right now directly if you send a message in the chat with your Discord username. And then I'll add you to there, and there's a kind of a whole group of people there that will help you. That can also help you kind of figure out or iron out any issues that you might have. That's kind of the way to get into the queue. Again, if you have any issues, just ping me. I'll leave my Telegram here, so you can ping me directly. Whatever is easiest for you guys. And then from there, once you're in the queue, wait until you're in the active set. Once you're in the active set, you're proposing blocks, you're helping slash people. You can also get slash, so make sure your node is online. I think those are the main takeaways here. Kind of going back to this. Once you're in the queue, you can actually go ahead and check. We have a validated dashboard. You can check the queue here directly, so you can see there's this 3,500 people or addresses in the queue, which it takes quite long to clear those out. But we're working on an update on that. Then tons of information on this dashboard. That's really cool to kind of browse through. So you can find your own validator in the validator registry. Once you're in, you can click on someone. You can see whose Discord it is and see their X handle. See how they're performing over the time that they've been here. So there's a lot of cool information here to kind of dive in and read up on. I'll also drop the link in the chat here. Cool. One more question. Can you share validator slashing, the logic of percentage of slashing? So for now, it's very simple. We have two ways you can get slashed, either by being offline. I think the logic the exact logic is if you're offline for more than 3 epochs in a row, which is an hour, you can be slashed. So for now, that's very harsh. We're working on adjusting those parameters in mainnet at some point as well. Then the logic of percentage of slashing. For now, we have a set percentage, which is 17% of your current stake. Once you reach a certain threshold, you actually get kicked out of the active set, which is the whole point of kind of making sure that we can kick people out fast enough to keep the network alive. This is a test net, so there's no financials or anything behind it. Cool. I think that was most of it from my side. Actually, it was pretty fast. I'm kind of hoping this is some questions or any other issues.
Please. This was very interesting, very cool, and it's so nice, so easy. I think that everybody from the technical side, there is no problem. And I think everybody who are familiar with the running of nodes, and I think it's 99.9% of the people who are here really familiar with running nodes. But what's about humanitarian part of it? First, what's about some delegation program or some rewards or maybe some support from the Aztec network to the validators? If validators want to join and want to contribute for the development of the Aztec network, not just running the node, but will they have any support from the Aztec network? Do you have something like maybe ambassador program, or how you plan to develop the community and how people can contribute for the development of the Aztec network, not on the level of the validation, but goes deeper?
Yeah. So it's worth noting that Aztec is very. We're working on launching Aztec for decades of success, right? We're not trying to launch Aztec for kind of a short-term wealth for a small amount of people. We're trying to set it up for kind of long-term success, which we're hoping that will mean decades worth of operating the chain and bringing privacy to the world. So based on that, we've decided to not have a foundation delegation for the first 12 months at least, and there's no promise that there will be one after that. But based on some of the conversations that we're having, we're hoping that we will have validators on board that are kind of aligned with the mission of bringing Aztec or of supporting Aztec and supporting our mission, kind of going into like decades from now. So people who are kind of very aligned with our goals and our ideals. So that's kind of one thing to note. There's also not going to be an airdrop because of the exact same reason. So there are potential benefits for running a validator in the testnet, and there's kind of qualifications that we're kind of evaluating based on the performances in the testnet from different people. Those will the exact details of those will be announced at some point in the future. So there's that's again why I'm hoping that you guys will join the Discord, because if you're in the Explorer channel, we're actually having active calls with people there to kind of talk about these exact details. And when you're on those calls, you'll talk to Steve and among some other people that will be able to give some of those will give you quite a bit more detail on the exact kind of road to make it and what that means for the validators in the testnet.
Great, very interesting. So the question from the community: one person can run only one validator or many validators? Is there a foundation or in the pipeline? And what is the purpose of IPR? And also, based on all these questions, in general, we understand that market is unpredictable and nobody can tell that it will be profitable or this is the crypto. All of us understand it. But of course, all of us, when we develop in the projects, we think that they will have success. And it means not only technical success, but also economical success. Why do you think, and maybe in general, why Aztec thinks that the privacy will be profitable, and why Aztec network will be profitable, and why the validators need to join. What is your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'll quickly run through those questions, and then I'll jump a little bit to the wider questions that you asked. So about like the one person, one validator question. On the testnet for now, you can run as many validators as you want. It is a bit of there is a long queue, right? So like there is a bit of an issue of trying to get, if someone runs 100 validators, it's going to take you a while to get those in. But for now, we're kind of asking everyone to just join with one validator to give everyone the chance to actually join. So yeah, we're kind of limiting it to like one validator per person right now on the testnet. People in where we can verify slashing is fully working. We will let people run more validators. So there are some teams that are running more. Those were all added at the start when we didn't expect this level of demand. But now that we're seeing kind of these questions from people, we're hoping to add more validators from different teams kind of in the future. So in a few weeks. But feel free to set up one. It would already be great to have one per person here join, and then we can add more from your side, kind of in a few weeks when we've updated the chain through a governance upgrade to allow the queue to go a lot faster. So that's in the making. We're hoping to do that sometime next week, but that's kind of pending some testing. Is there a foundation? I'm actually at the foundation. So there's two people currently at the foundation. One is me. The other one is Arno, who's the director. He's one of the co-founders of Aztec and has set up the foundation actually a few months ago. So at the start of this year, I would say the foundation was set up. I'm with the foundation. Amin, who's also supposed to join, he's with Aztec Labs. So there's quite a good split there. Any questions? I'm a technical guy. Like any questions that you have, feel free to send them to me, and I can make sure that they get to the right people, either at the labs side or internally at the foundation.
Yes, and maybe your general thoughts about if you want to explain to some other people and tell friend how, as they say, why is privacy matter? Like why we need to pay for the privacy or something like this? How your validators will earn money on the privacy? And we can answer them, friend, look, why it's matter and why it will be profitable. Why you need to start to validate Aztec?
Yeah, totally. So on like the validator side, like quickly answering that last question that was still open, right? We're talking about an APR of about 10%, over an APY of about 10%. So that's kind of like that's kind of roughly what you can expect. We're still tweaking those exact numbers, so those will be kind of public in a while. But when it comes to why privacy, right? This is a very important question, and very kind of interesting to talk about. I think it's like the foundations, the labs, everyone that's building on Aztec, but also in my opinion, that a lot of the kind of mainstream adoption that we're currently not necessarily seeing is because there's a lack of privacy, right? On almost every single chain, you can go on their Explorer and you can go to a wallet, and you can see what transactions they've been doing. You can see the trades that they've made. You can see the ERC20 tokens that they're swapping between people. It doesn't take someone that long to either send those funds back to a centralized exchange and have to do KYC. So there's always a trail kind of like following people around. And so basically, we're just publicizing each other's financial data for the open world, right? If we're using something like a normal kind of old school bank, that data is not public, right? Most people don't want to show how much money they have in their bank or how much what they're paying for, right? Like I don't want to do I want to have all my payment data leaked out on the street? Probably not. Not to have anything to hide, but I just want to keep that for myself. So a lot of those reasons have kept a lot of people away from using blockchain systems in general. So having privacy will allow kind of all these people that have had those doubts around privacy to come and join the blockchain kind of ecosystem, but still retain that kind of private state that they would like to have. So that's why I think privacy is very important. Aztec is going to have bridges from Ethereum into Aztec, those bridges are going to be KYC'd for legal reasons, and that's kind of up to the bridges themselves to develop. But yeah, outside of like in the actual Aztec network, when you're on the L2, when you're there, everything is private. You cannot see what's happening at all. So everything there is all shielded and all kind of shielded away by ZK proofs. What's cool about Aztec is because it's a roll up, right? At some point we have to roll the whole transactions up and post kind of a proof on chain. We do that in epochs. So epochs are every 20 minutes. It's kind of more of a technical thing. Every 20 minutes ish. At the end of those 20 minutes, all the blocks are posted on chain. We've attested to them. There's a final state there. There's what we call provers that come in. They take that and they prove the entire epoch. That proving is very compute intensive. We're talking like a full rack of servers worth of CPU, potentially. And the job of the provers is to prove that on time before the end of the next epoch. So if they post a proof onto the L1 and it's validated on the L1, that means we've reached final state. So finality happens at the end of the next before the next epoch, before the end of the next epoch. Sorry. So until that point, you can always roll back. But yeah, what's cool is like these provers are all like kind of just computing over state, and they don't know what the actual state is. Right? ZK or ZK proof is the definition of a ZK proof is just one system attesting to something that it knows without revealing that thing to another system. So if I have, like the example I always use and what you can do with ZK Passport actually, is say you want to buy alcohol online, but the legal age for buying alcohol in the country that you're in is, whatever it is, 16, 18, 21, wherever you're located. Those websites that you're buying it from, they probably don't want to send you the alcohol like without knowing that you're of age to buy that alcohol. So instead of giving them your full passport, what we can do is we can use something like ZK Passport, where we can just create a proof saying, hey, this person is over this age. So we don't even tell them your actual birthday. You give them a proof that says, hey, I'm over this age. That's the only thing that they care about, right? The only thing they care about is that you're over that legal age, not that you're, not what your actual birthday is. Like that's something that I might want to keep private. If I don't have to tell people information, I'd rather not. And that's kind of what privacy is all about. It's like retaining control over your own data and over your own sovereignty.
Yes, amazing. I always tell that the privacy is important not only for people who make the crimes or something like this, for the common people. This is our right. Privacy is a right, not a privilege. Yes, and common people need to have the privacy too. So about any other ways of the contributing to Aztec as the not only as the validator but maybe as the developer. Do you need any developers, or maybe what's on the stage right now you have lack of, or maybe you already have everything, or maybe you still need some help, maybe designers, maybe UI, any people, because a lot of people will watch this video and we have a lot of different skills. Maybe some people can find themselves in the Aztec.
Yeah, for sure. So I think I kind of see a few ways that everyone can contribute, which is like, we're building open source software, right? So I'll quickly post our GitHub. There's over 1,000 issues on this, almost 1,000 issues on this GitHub repo. We'd happily accept PRs from anyone. So like, feel free to take a look there. And also, if you want to dive into the code, see how it actually works. This is where everything is. Like, this is the one central location where all our packages are, and everything that we're building around the chain. When it comes to kind of involvements outside of that, there's for sure I'll get to the question at some point. There's for sure like a marketing effort that we're always kind of trying to do. So like if you're active on Twitter, active anywhere else, it's great to always see people involved and kind of posting cool things. Being active on our Discord, helping other users out with their validator is always amazing. We're actually doing a town hall tomorrow. I think at an hour before now, so like somewhere like an hour before when this started. So tomorrow, same like 23 hours from now. That town hall where like we're going to be giving some stuff away. Like those are kind of like to textual users that are helping other people out, like the best validator, those kinds of things. So yeah, feel free to join that. That's great to have. Would be great to have you guys there as well. Being active in the community is like a big part of it. Outside of that, like if you're thinking of building a cool ecosystem project, we found the Dashtag guys, which is like the explorer that I linked earlier. Those were guys that were just in our community, and they at some point like built a very simple version of what they have now. And we've kind of been iterating with them, and they've been enjoying working with us. We've been iterating with them on like what potential things that they could add to visualize, and it's the one that we also show to everyone else. It's the one that we tell everyone else about, and they're getting massive amounts of traffic through there. So they're doing great. I see a lot of good things for that team in the future.
Amazing. I totally sure that some of our people from community can contribute for the development of Aztec. And I think the kind of the last question, and of course I understand that it's hard to give the direct answer on it, but maybe for the discussion to finish our workshop, is a very interesting argument from one of the community members, Roach Clone. Buying alcohol is totally different from the financial aspects. Banks and governments want to know the transactions citizens are making. Yes, what's about the legal side of this? Because from one side, yes, we understand that we want privacy, and from other side, we already saw the examples how centralized exchanges, for example, want to delist Monero because of the privacy. Yes, what's your thoughts, and maybe what is the position of Aztec network about this? Hard to combining things together between the privacy and the wish of the government to know all what you do.
Yeah, I think there's an active stance within the team against anything around total control and total oversight from governments and banks on financial transactions. And again, not because of crime, but more because we feel the right that we have sovereign control over our own money. It's the same as like using cash to pay for something, right? There's no governments involved in that, except that the government issues the cash. But then the moment it's in your hand, you can spend it without them seeing what it's being spent on. I think that's the same thing. But ZK as a technology, so zero knowledge as a technology, can be used in a lot of wider aspects. It doesn't have to be just financial. But yeah, that's kind of like I think I'll leave it there. But when it comes to like oversight from banks, governments, etc., there's an active stance against that oversight. Again, like we are doing things kind of with governments in mind, so we are actively working with them on making sure that we're compliant with the rules. So that's kind of where this bridge idea and KYC in bridges comes in.
Great, amazing. Yes, very interesting and strong argument about the cash. Yes, so friends, if you still have any questions, feel free to turn on your microphone and ask these questions, or if you feel shy to use microphone, write them in the chat. But Koen, maybe we didn't ask you something that you are thinking is very important to share, or maybe you have any advice or call to action for people who will watching us.
Yeah, I mean, run a validator. If you don't, here, let me write my Telegram in the chat. So feel free to ping me at any point. If you have any questions, any problems, just send me a message and I'll get back to you. Or if you have trouble using ZK passwords, just send me your address. I'll get you added manually to the set. Yeah, I think that's the main thing I would say. And then don't get slashed. Have set up your node. I always love seeing home setups. If you have a cool home setup that you're running your node on, whether it's through Depnode or whether it's through another old computer you've put into a closet and turn it into a home shift validator. That stuff I applaud. So yeah, send
Great,
copies of
great.
those.
And after you tell it, I have one more question. Which server providers you can recommend? Of course, we understand that the best is to have your own barrel metal server that's
Mhm.
your place or in the some. But if we will not speak now about your own personal server, do you have any recommendation or this recommendation, for example, as the Solana tell? Only not on Hetzner, because
Mhm.
we have 60% of our validators already on Hetzner. Don't run on Hetzner. Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe you have something like this. Maybe to don't make advertisement, but no, okay, not about advertisement, but you can tell. Here is already too much, or better don't use this. Or maybe if you know that exists some cool data centers, you can tell. I recommend these guys.
Yeah. So I'll again like I was going to go with the very kind of politically correct answer here of saying don't run anywhere that anyone else is running. You can actually check that on this peer explorer that I just sent, built by the Nethermind guys. Really cool. So as you can see, like the top countries, I'll share my screen quickly so you can see. So the top countries. Oh, what? Okay. This gets bigger. Top countries here: Germany is 4,500 nodes. Singapore is 3,100 nodes. The US 2,100. France has a lot of them as well. You can kind of like assume where these validators are running, right? Like they're running on Hester, they're running on Contabo, they're running on those operators. Anywhere that's not with those really big ones, I would say amazing, right? Like I actually personally have co-location in the data center that I use. That's not for everyone, but that's one thing that I use. Another cool provider that I do know is Cherry Servers. They're really great guys. I've talked to them many things. They're very pro crypto. You can pay with crypto. So they're a great team as well. They have locations all over Europe and in the States, I think. And they're working on I think Singapore as well. They're working on kind of a few different locations that they're have services deployed, and you can get some good VPS deals with them. So yeah, if anything, if you go with a cloud provider, right, look at this dashboard, see if there's anyone actually already running something there, and then you might want to go with that cloud provider. That's fine, but then that cloud provider, say there's Ocean, say Vulture, they might have servers in Sao Paulo, or they might have servers in Australia that you could also use instead of using a server in Germany or in France. If you can already spread geographically, we'll get to the actual de-risking from a provider perspective in the when we get to mainnet. But geographically spread that's really good.
Great, great. Thank you very much, Koen. This was very interesting and very great. We will publish the record of this workshop as soon as possible, that more people understand that they can be a part of the our private future. Thank you, friends, for visiting our workshop, and hope to see all of you in the Discord of the Aztec network, and also to be together with you a part of our decentralized future.
Amazing. Thanks, guys.
Bye bye, friends.